Where are all my schizo lifters at? Today we're gonna show you how to get the sizing for your custom lifting belt. Here is my current lifting belt. If you wanna actually watch me make this thing, you can check out one of the links in the description. There's a very straightforward, very simple way to get the measurements for a standard belt you'd wear on a day-to-day basis. But because lifting belts are so much larger, everyone in the midsection is a little bit different. This takes a little bit of cooperation between the person ordering and the craftsman making your lifting belt. Most like pre-made lifting belts you could just buy, they're gonna come with this much freaking adjustments because every single different size break has this giant range of holes. I personally make them with a good amount of adjustment, but we don't need an entire foot of adjustment. This is something custom we're making for you that is special, tailored to fit your body. Now, there are two parts to the measuring process. First, we're gonna talk about the length or the size. How big around is your body this way? So that's measurement one. Now, the absolute easiest way to do this is if you have a lifting belt already, or if possibly you have a friend who has a lifting belt. I mean, hell, you could even do this at the gym with one of your gym bros. Go, hey dude, can I see your belt for like 30 seconds? And you can pull this off of any belt. The only caveat is that it has to fit. It has to be adjustable to a point that's comfortable for you. So here we are, we're gonna show you two examples. I actually have two lifting belts I've made for myself. My very first one when I was a little bit bigger, and then this one I currently wear where I'm, shrunken down in the midsection a little bit. This is also a perfect example where my old one that's larger is too big for me. This one does fit me as it is, but the range of holes on this belt go from about here to here. And when we make your lifting belt, it should fit you right in the middle so you can adjust larger if you gain a few pounds and smaller. I built this one a little bit small for me because I was losing so much weight. Some of you guys know I lost 85 pounds. When I made this, I intentionally built it, a little bit small, so I'm kind of in this range. And since I put a couple pounds back on, I kind of fit out towards the end. All that being said, doesn't matter if you fit on the first hole like this or the last hole like this. When you get yours custom made, it should fit right smack dab in the center. But what we're gonna do, take that lifting belt you have access to, get it around your midsection, and get it to fit where you like it. Pay attention to where our holes are. Right now, I'm on my second to last hole, really straightforward. Now what we're gonna do is take a yardstick, a ruler, whatever you have. I have a soft tape. I recommend a soft tape. So what we're gonna do is take our end, make sure this belt is laid out nice and flat, right here at the end of the belt where it ends at. Don't measure the buckle, just measure where the fold goes. Or there might be special hardware. Regardless of whatever hardware it has on the end, make sure you're measuring from basically where that hardware starts, so the fold. Sometimes belts will have a second piece of material that lays underneath like this. Make sure you're measuring to the end piece where the hardware starts sticking out at. Then you're gonna bring it on down and get your measurement. So where I'm at is right here, second to last hole, which is right about 43 inches. As you can see, the line, does match up with the edge of the hole. So 43 inches is good enough. Now, to prove my point even farther, we're gonna take my older lifting belt. It's much, much longer. Look at how far I can suck this down into here. And here we are, second hole from the inside. So let's measure that. And here we are, right at that 43 again. What number it is that you land on or you give us for this measurement is where we're going to make, bam, right smack dab in the middle. So that was the easiest way to take it. Now we're going into method two, which is where you don't have a lifting belt, you don't have a friend who has a lifting belt, and you don't have a gym bro or a gym homegirl who you can't borrow their lifting belt for a minute. This is how to get your midsection measurement. This is where you have to be super, super, super honest with yourself. Because what's gonna end up happening, you put that lifting belt on and then it squeezes us in. Ideally is with the soft tape measure so you don't have to mess around with anything. So what we're gonna do, put it around our waist like it would be a lifting belt right in our midsection, basically over your belly button. I'm gonna go snug. I'm at 45 inches. Remember that my sizing is 43. My midsection is a little bit softer, so when I push out and brace, there's a little bit of give in there. When you have a weightlifting belt on, you want it to be stiff. You want to be able to brace. So when you push out like this, you're pushing against that belt. That's what helps stabilize your core. So you have to ask yourself, how soft are you around the midsection. So we have this 45-inch measurement here, right? Now here is how I recommend you subtract those inches from that number to facilitate that little bit of soft give you might have around your midsection. So first is if you are a small person. I'm talking about people, if you know if you are fit or not, keep that number the same. Or if your measurement around your waist is pretty small, you're anywhere between like 28 and like 34, maybe those people don't have to subtract the one number. Where you want to subtract 1 inch is if you are, you know, an average person. Maybe you have a little bit of pudge, you know, not somebody who looks like me who can grab their stomach. I'm talking somebody who would be considered a normal person, maybe a dad bod. This is where you go, yeah, I'm shaped like a pretty normal person. I'm not really overweight, but you know, I could lose 10 pounds. This range is where you want to subtract 1 inch. Now, where you might want to subtract 2 inches is either if you've lost a bunch of weight or you're super squishy around the midsection. You have to be honest with yourself. I don't know your physique. Maybe if you're ordering something from me, maybe you can shoot me a picture and maybe we could discuss whether you think it's a -1 or -2 inches off of that measurement or not. But this is like if you're squishy. When we get into the -3 inches and above section, this is difficult. This is something that you have to use your own judgment. You know, at -3 is where we start getting into, you know, over 40% body fat for men, over 45% body fat for women. Ultimately, if you're that big, I don't know if lifting crazy heavy is super important. Maybe you should work on the body fat percentage a little bit before we start getting into extreme heavy lifting where special equipment is needed. But those are my guidelines for doing it that way. Now you might be saying, hey Brian, I don't have a lifting belt or access to a lifting belt, and I also don't have a soft tape measure. I will link in the description the cheapest soft tape measure I can find on Amazon. Now the last measurement could also potentially be the most important measurement. Now we're talking about the actual width of the belt itself. My old one was a little bit more narrow and my newer one is wider. This first one I did was a trial run. I had never made a lifting belt. I had never used a lifting belt. I just went gung-ho and went for this. In that experience, I learned the importance of having the correct width to go around your waist. So to demonstrate this, we're gonna get a little bit comfortable. This is the one that I like to use. You can see it looks like it is kind of squeezing me a little bit, but that's kind of what we want, especially if you're a little squishy. So I would call that one the wide or the large. And now we're gonna go with the narrow or the small, right? So, does it not look a little bit awkward, right? It does brace me, but it doesn't brace me well, especially around the buckle where it goes in a little bit narrow. You can see I'm spilling over at the top, and this just looks like I'm just trying to squeeze myself in half, right? So I highly recommend going with the wider one in most cases. I kind of have two rules for deciding if you want the thin one or the thick one. The first one will be based off of height. I would say if you're 5'9" or taller, you know, maybe 5'8" or taller, go with the wider one. You just want more support than feeling like it's too small. Because I think even at my height, I'm 5'10". Even if I was the same height, but even smaller around the waist, I still think I would prefer the larger belt. And my other rule for this is if you landed in the -2 or above section of our squish test, I would also recommend higher. So, you know, if you're 5'5", but you got 2 inches of squish, I would recommend the larger belt just so that way it's more support, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna squeeze it in and you're gonna muffin top on the top and you're gonna muffin top on the bottom, and it's gonna look not good. It's not gonna brace you as well as you would like it. In reality, basically, I only recommend the smaller belt for somebody shorter than 5'8", who's also relatively thin around the waist. So, that's how we do it. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to place a custom order for a one-of-a-kind kick-ass, balls to the wall custom lifting belt. You could find my links down in the description of this video. I would love to make more of these things. If you enjoyed something, learned something, whatever, you owe me one. You gotta like, comment, or subscribe. It's all I'm asking. The least you can do is double tap. I'm trying to progressive overload this fucking social media presence, you guys. I'm trying to hit fucking PRs, guys. I'm trying to mog the leather crafting game, brother. So here's a training montage of me using my lifting belt. You can get around the Planet Fitness stringer rule if you just make a stringer out of a Planet Fitness shirt. Planet Fitness schizos, stand up.